welcome to day 14 of JanuDAILY. I am coming to you live from within the office, middle of the work morning. I'm a little bit on the struggle bus this morning, I'm not gonna lie. There was very little sleep to be had last night. I do not know what's going on, but the toddler's waking up in the middle of the night. That's hard. We have an elderly dog also waking up multiple times in the middle of the night. That's also hard. I did not get up with my 5 a.m. alarm this morning. I snoozed very irresponsibly until about 6:20, at which point I went and got my coffee, which you saw, and I was maybe 2 sips into my coffee and into my work day when the toddler woke up. So we've been struggling this morning. That's just the reality of being a work from home parent. And yesterday, first day of preschool went great, and he had a wonderful day. The teacher's fantastic. I have some kinks to work out with getting us out the door at the right time. We did not struggle. I struggled with that. I did not plan accordingly. I was not prepared. I feel a little more prepared today. We'll see how it goes. But basically, I'm having to let my kid nap like right up to the very last minute and then like wake him up to put him in the car and feed him lunch in the vehicle. It was an experience, that's for sure. But hoping for a better time of it today. You live, you learn, you figure out what works, you figure out what doesn't work, you adjust. That's life. Is that not life? I think it's life. Anyway, I am very quickly trying to finish up some stuff before we have a friend come over this morning for a play date, which we're very excited about. We have not we haven't had like a consistency with play dates as of lately because everyone's been sick. Someone anywhere has been sick. On top of that, it was the holidays, people were busy, it's just a whole thing. So we're very glad to be getting back into the rhythm of play dates, but we are getting a very busy but also slow start to the day. So anyway, I am going to finish up what I'm working on, hopefully before our friend gets here. I'm also going to attempt to eat some breakfast before our friend gets here and move on to the day. Are you gonna believe me if I told you I did actually put real clothes on today? I did also put makeup on. I did my hair at some point. I just never turned the camera on when I looked like a presentable human being because it has been a warp speed kind of day. And I don't know exactly what I was expecting with this week gearing into like my son getting into the school program and like reconfiguring our daily schedule. So yes. It's been a bit of a puzzle to try to fit everything all together. But I am currently going to make myself a bowl of leftovers for lunch. Excuse me. That would be the Golden, who has a lot to say. But I'm gonna make a bowl of leftovers for dinner because it's been that kind of day. I did finally deliver the second sourdough starter to my friend today, so that was exciting. Hers was super healthy, so I'm excited to see if she bakes anything with it. Mine is also looking rather healthy. I think I'm getting close to being ready to bake something with it. The sourdough starter is ready. Like, she's good. She's fine. She's ready to be used. I'm not ready to use her because I scared. But we did name her. Her name is Bready White. So everybody meet Bready. She's a new staple in our household and hopefully she'll be very useful. But let's make some leftovers and then I actually have something I want to talk to you guys about. Good night. Okay, I ate my dinner. Oh, my battery's dying. I'll be right back. If the battery flashing is not a metaphor for my whole freaking life right now, I don't know what is. Oh no. Holly, if you're watching this video, my very last audio message for some reason keeps failing to send to you. Oh my goodness, you guys. Life be lifin', and I'm worn out. But in other news, if you've ever lived in Charlotte, you recognize this box. This is an Amelie's box, my friends. And inside this Amelie's box are 3 remaining Amelie's macarons, because these made their way home from, those are Joyful Screams. Just putting it out there, Joyful Screams. Bedtime in our house is like WWE. I don't know why it is, but it is. It looks a lot different when I do it. There's more cuddles, less screaming, but they're having fun. I have definitely eaten 3 of these since last night already. There was 2 pistachio ones in there. It's okay, but I am going to eat a lemon one. I don't know that I've ever had a lemon one from Amelie's before, but we used to live in Amelie. We used to live in Amelie's. We did not live in Amelie's. We lived in Charlotte. We lived in Charlotte for a pretty significant chunk of our adult lives on 2 separate occasions. We lived there, left, and then went back. And Amelie's was definitely a favorite while we lived there. As promised, I have something to talk to you about. And you might be thinking, Joey, based on the title of this video, what on earth could you possibly have in common with Spencer Pratt? And I just first feel like I need to just go ahead and put this out there. I was the target demographic for Laguna Beach and the Hills. 1000% target demographic. I also was one of those that fell victim to the reality of expecting reality TV to be reality. And therefore, I thought Heidi was D-U-M-B dumb. I loved Heidi, but I thought she was dumb. I thought, girl, what are you doing? What are you doing? You deserve better. You deserve to be treated better. And then, you know, fast forward to after the airing, they're still together. Move forward from that, still together. I did not follow their social media, so it's not like I was getting a glimpse into anything. I will say that I did listen to the Call Her Daddy episode with them on it, and I was like, wait a second, hold on. It was all fake. It was genius what they did. Genius. But I believed it. And you kind of get a glimpse of who they actually are on that episode. Hold on. We have relocated because the dog was not going to settle down. She was just going to be restless in the background the whole time. And by the end of the day, the click-clacking on the floor is enough to send me into an overstimulated rage. So we're both sitting here on the bed. On that podcast episode, you kind of get a glimpse into who they actually are. And I was like, wait a second, they're actually like semi-decent people. Who knew? So if you've been living under a rock, let me fill you in really quickly. Heidi and Spencer lost their house in the fires in California. And I want to say this first because I feel like it's worth noting. I saw something years ago, and I don't even remember who it was anymore, but it was somebody that had celebrity status, but they had celebrity status from like a brief moment in time in their lives. And they had been irresponsible with their money, and they were broke as a joke. And they had shared, they're like, there is a painful existence being somebody with celebrity status without a celebrity bank account. And just because you're famous doesn't mean you're rich. And to try to uphold the image that you are based on what people expect of you because of that fame is really exhausting and difficult. So I think it's important to say that up front, because just because somebody is famous does not mean they are rich. And I would believe that Heidi and Spencer probably make more money than I will ever make, but also in that world, significantly less than most. And he and Heidi obviously right now have nothing. Like, they have nothing left. You know, they have whatever they grabbed to leave their house, and certainly did not expect to lose their house in these fires. And you're probably thinking, Joey, your house has never burned down. How on earth do you have anything in common with Heidi and Spencer Pratt? And here I'm going to tell you. So since this has happened, Spencer has been hustling, trying to figure out how they're going to make enough money to rebuild at this point, right? He's got a responsibility to help provide for his family. And he admitted, initially he was just kind of jokingly telling people to go ahead and start streaming Heidi's music. She had released this album 15 years earlier, just go ahead and start streaming the music. And people started to do that. And it really started to impact the rankings. And sure enough, Heidi rose to the #1 spot. And he opened up and said that they spent all of their money. 15 years ago, they spent all of their money on Heidi creating this album. And in the last 15 years, it's been their biggest regret because it just didn't pan out the way that they thought it was going to. And it was a painful thing, right? And now, 15 years later, it is that thing that they listened to the call and created, sunk all their money into, is what's swooping in to save them in the midst of a horrific devastation, right? I feel like I've seen this movie before. Is that not awfully similar to the situation that I was in where, I mean, obviously very different, but sort of the same in that I felt a tug on my heart to do this thing, i.e. write and publish a book. It was something I wanted to do. I did it. I didn't have any regrets about it. I did not sink all of my funds into it. It did not cost me nearly anything to publish the book, but it did cost me a lot of creative energy and time and emotional turmoil. But aside from that, it did not cost me anything. But I also did not see the results from that I thought I would. And I just sort of took that as the cue that maybe that wasn't what I was supposed to be doing with my life. As much as I wanted to be a writer and as much as I'd known since I was 10 years old that I wanted to publish books, I just took it to me and like, okay, well, did it. It was fun. I'll go and be a nanny for a while. And it was that very thing where I had been obedient and did what I was feeling like I was being called to do, even though it didn't amount to anything in that moment, that swooped in to save me and my little family 9 years later when my book became an Amazon bestseller literally overnight in the wake of me losing my job very unexpectedly as a breadwinning mom. And it was that experience that basically threw me onto the path I'm on now. And I've since published another book. I'm close to publishing a third. And I just don't know that I would have ever found myself back on this path if it hadn't been for that very scary thing that we experienced. Am I comparing losing a job to losing my entire house and every possession I own? I am not. Let me make that very clear. It's just, there's a similarity to that, and there's a point to this, and that point is if you feel like you are being drawn to doing something, I would say called, because I feel like things like that are something that God puts on your heart for a reason. You may just feel drawn to it if you are not a believer or a spiritual person. You're on your own journey, and that is okay. Do it, even if it doesn't actually fully make sense to you, even if you don't know how it's going to work out for you. Do it because you enjoy the experience of it. Do it without expectation, and trust that if you're being led to do it, and I'm talking like in a creative arena, okay? Like we're talking write the book, create the album, make the piece of art, take the picture. Like I'm talking in that arena of things. I'm not talking like go rob a bank, okay? Do it without expectation because you never know. Heidi and Spencer, who regretted it for 15 years, sure bet they're not regretting it now. I bet you anything they are so grateful for what they assumed had been a mistake because God had a bigger plan for it. Everything in your life has a purpose. God has a purpose for everything in your life. Painful or not, profitable or not, successful in that moment or not. God has a purpose for all of it. And if you're feeling drawn to doing the thing, do it. Because it might actually, number one, swoop in to save you later in life in a way that you could not have ever anticipated. And if you didn't take the time to do it, if you did not take the emotional sacrifice, if you did not make the financial sacrifice, whatever it is that you have to do to make this thing happen, which maybe you'll learn, which maybe you'll come to regret in the coming years because nothing will have come of it, only to find out that years and years down the road, it's exactly the thing that needed to swoop in to save you. Even if that's not the case, I guarantee you that there is someone on this planet who needs that thing. And that thing might be the one thing that God's purpose for it is to help that other person. So just stop over analyzing and like getting into analysis paralysis. If you're feeling led, if you're feeling drawn, don't try to business plan your way into a reason to do it. Just do it because you enjoy it and you love it and you feel drawn to it. Just do it without the pressure of it having to mean something right now, because it will likely mean something eventually. Sorry to have stepped on my soapbox here, but it was just, if you're on TikTok right now, Spencer is all over your For You page. I can almost guarantee it. And I am rooting them on. I am rooting everybody on. I appreciate so much the vulnerability. I also appreciate so much how much he's focusing right now on his own family, which I know people probably have opinions on, but I agree with him that like he needs to get his family right first. I can guarantee once his family is set up, he has a responsibility to those boys and to Heidi. Once he feels like they are set up in a place that they can be taken care of, he will throw all of these efforts into taking care of rebuilding the town that he grew up in. I can say that with confidence that he will help everybody in the best way he can, right? Seeing it all over, it kept nudging me to just make this point, because I felt like my situation was really unique when it happened, and it was such like a whoa, wow, God, I heard you loud and clear, like got it, noted. So grateful that I took the time to write that book and publish that book 9 years ago, because it's really what we need right now. Like, if it gives me chills to like think about to this day. If I had not published that book 9 years earlier, the year would have looked very different for me and my family. And it would have very quickly taken a very, very scary turn. And it was because of that book, because of the audience on TikTok, because of that, my life looks very different now. Additionally, and this is one final point that I want to make before I'm gonna like actually stop yapping in your ear. The same thing with Heidi is happening now that happened with me, where people will do the thing because they feel like they're helping, right? Like they'll buy the $2.99 ebook. They're gonna do it because they feel like they're helping. People are gonna stream her music because they feel like they're helping. That also has that kind of reach, that many eyes on something that you've created, also has the power to be career ruining if it's not good, okay? Heidi and Spencer's public reputation at the time that album came out, nobody was taking her seriously. They just weren't. Okay, and because she just fell back into the background of life over the last 15 years, now we're all listening to this album and we're like, this is actually really good. It's catchy, it's well done, the songs are a bop, you know, like it's a good song, it's good, and it's leading to new opportunities for her that will probably unlock a whole new future that she could never have seen coming. Literally exactly what happened for me is people bought the $2.99 book because it was gonna help a mom in need. Like who wouldn't do that? Like it's less than your Starbucks coffee. You could buy 3 Starbucks for the cost of the ebook. Like, okay, you're gonna buy the book. I appreciate that. I didn't expect people to read it, and I certainly did not expect people to love it so much that they started demanding that I write more books. And again, that many eyes on something. If the book wasn't good and people read it, I don't think that they would have regretted spending the $2.99 to help a mom in need, but it certainly would have been the last book I published, because nobody would have wanted anything more from me, and my confidence would have been completely squashed when the feedback started to come in, you know? So I just, again, wanna like, there's a purpose in everything, and I'm like saying that to myself right now too, because we're in the midst of like a really difficult time. And like I said in a couple of videos ago, like you just never know what somebody's actually going through, or like what's going on in somebody's life behind the scenes that like they're choosing not to share. And so I'm remembering and reminding myself right now that like there is a purpose for everything. There is a reason for it all, and it will be used for your own good. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and leave you with that. I'm sorry this vlog has been kind of all over the place. Again, with the start of school, it just sort of like, I was not prepared. Not gonna lie, just was not prepared. I don't even think my ducks were in this building, forget being in a row. It was so unlike me to be that ill prepared for such a monumental change. And because of the timing of it in our day, it has shifted literally every part of our routine. And it's all for the best, and I'm happy to do it, but like, I just was not prepared. I was not prepared for how like my reality would shift, and how that would kind of like shake my confidence in my day of like executing things properly. So obviously throwing in the fact that I'm vlogging every day has added some level of complexity to all of it. So I appreciate you bearing with me as I get this sorted out and figure out what I'm doing with my life. But anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. If you resonated with this content at all, or you just feel like we are the type of people that could be friends, go ahead and subscribe, leave a comment down below and let me know, did you watch Laguna Beach in the Hills? And if you did, were you just as surprised as I have been to find out that Spencer is actually a heck of a decent person? Because I'm very surprised. And anyway, I will see you guys all again tomorrow. Bye.